Nigeria returned to democracy in 1999 after a long reign of the military, and since the democratic process was reactivated, the general elections have either been in February, March, or April. The sequence has not been consistent either. Now, dates fixed for the 2019 elections are not particularly the area of contention here, but the sequence, the National Assembly moved to reorder the sequence. The presidency declined, citing possible infringement. A court also asked the lawmakers to suspend further action on the bill, a decision not well taken by the Senate. While the controversy continues, let's do a quick rundown of the sequence since 1999. The Senate national legislative elections were held before that of gubernatorial or governorship presidential elections, both elections 7 days apart in February. In 2003, the order of the election calendar was not altered, but the dates changed from February to April. In 2007, INEC reworked the sequence. The state legislative and governorship elections were held before the national and legislative presidential elections. Professor Atari Jeka, as INEC chairman, altered the sequence for the 2011 elections during his time. INEC changed the procedure of the elections. The timetable places the conduct of the state and the national legislative election before the governorship and the presidential election. In 2015, the election was scheduled to hold in February. It was later postponed to March by 6 weeks because of security reasons. The schedule stipulated that the national and legislative presidential polls were to be conducted first and then followed by the state legislative and governorship elections. The minority leader at the Senate, Senator Godswill Akpabio, raised that objection on what they feel might be, an interference in the issues of the principles of separation of powers. So then let me show you quickly now what the comparison will look like for you. So on the right-hand side of your screen is the sequence of election as scheduled by INEC. It will happen perhaps on 2 weekends. And based on the amendment that is being considered by the National Assembly, it may happen on 3 different weekends. That means that the National Assembly elections will come first, the Senate and the House of Reps elections. Then the day 2 of the election, we have the state houses of assembly and the governorship elections. And the 3 will have the presidential election. So that is how it will be. That is a bone of contention. Well, then let's get into conversation tonight, because this is a very major issue, especially when we do not know perhaps where to go for now, because that hearing will take place sometimes this week or next week in the coming days as an injunction by the court in Abuja has held up decision or further action by the National Assembly on the amendment of the Electoral Act. So what does this mean? We're supposed to be speaking with Mr. Muhammad Nalado, who is one of those who went to court on this matter. We hope to hear from him in the course of the program. But let's get another perspective, different from what the man who went to court means altogether in this issue. We have Mr. Akin Osuntokun, a former presidential advisor. He joins us on the program tonight. Many thanks for your time on the program, Mr. Akin Osuntokun.
You're welcome.
You're following the development, especially your movement now that is looking to create what a lot of people have debated as a third force, and what the reordering of these elections will mean. Now, the Accord Party has gone to court to stop a further action. The court has said, hold on for a moment. So the issue of separation of powers came in. What are your first thoughts on when you heard that the court has halted the actions of the National Assembly?
Well, I think it was the best opinion was given by Professor Ben Nwabweze, on which is pointed out the absurdity of giving a judgment on a law, on a bill that has not been passed into law. So if you proceed from that point of view, it's a non-issue. I mean, it looks ridiculous for a court to give a ruling on a bill. The court is not even certain what is going to emerge at it. That means you don't know what you are giving a judgment on. You know? Is it, what if at the end of the day, the bill remains as sent by the president? As far as the court is concerned, it is speculation. It's mere speculation to project or to think that this is what the National Assembly is going to reorder the election. But legally, that is speculation. It has not happened.
What do you suppose the court should have done when a citizen of Nigeria feels that there is a problem here and I need to run to the court? That's the only place that you can run to as a citizen of Nigeria. So what do you suppose the court should have done in that sense?
Which citizen of Nigeria? Well, there's something that you call a local standard. What are you complaining of? You are complaining about the intention of the National Assembly. Okay, what is it? What are you complaining of? That is the point. You have to tell what is it you are complaining of. You are complaining about the intention of somebody to do something. Does that make isn't that absurd?
So you think that the court should have thrown it out even without listening to the case?
Exactly. I think it's pure speculation. From a legal
but it's an injunction. That means hold on for a moment until we hear the case.
Which case? What is the case?
It's a process of law.
Listen,
when there's an injunction.
Okay, listen. Let us look at it from this point of view. Suppose, because if what the court did or what the judge did was right, then it is a principle that should apply. If we accept that principle, that means we are saying that all bills that are passed to the National Assembly can be halted by the act of a court. Does that make sense? Including the budget, for instance. That means that when the president refers back, takes back or whatever other bill, because the budget is a bill. So the court can say, look, Senate, don't work further. Stop work on the project, on the budget, on the bill that is before you. Does that make sense? I'm not a lawyer.